Okay, let's unpack this. When you think of ancient Rome, what comes to mind? Colosseums,
Legion Center.
legions.
Right. The usual suspects.
But what if I told you that one of their most impressive feats wasn't just about, conquering lands, but also about conquering disease and injury?
That's a great point. And it's fascinating here because the Romans developed a medical infrastructure that was incredibly advanced for its time.
Really ahead on the curve.
Absolutely. It laid foundations we still see echoes of today, surprisingly modern echoes.
That's exactly what we're diving into today. Our source is an article called Roman Military Medicine, Ancient Foundations, Modern Echoes. Really digs into their practices.
It's a good one.
So our mission, for you listening, is to pull out the key insights from this article. Basically a shortcut to understanding how ancient healthcare evolved and why it still matters.
Let's do it.
So, okay, before we get to the military stuff, the legions and hospitals, what did Roman healing even look like way back? Who was taking care of people?
Well, in the very early days, long before professional medicine as we'd recognize it, healthcare was pretty much the job of the paterfamilias.
The head of the household. The man in charge.
Exactly. The male head. And his methods. It was a real mix. You had inherited traditions, basic folk remedies.
Like herbs and stuff.
Yeah, herbs, infusions, that sort of thing. But also a big reliance on religious rites, prayers, sacrifices, trying to appease the gods.
Ah, so quite mystical then. Not very scientific.
Not empirical at all, no. Illness wasn't just seen as physical. It was often thought to be, divine anger or some kind of bad influence. They were treating both the body and what they saw as the spiritual cause.
Right, a mix of the practical and the, supernatural almost. But things changed, didn't they? There was a big shift.
Oh, definitely. A major transformation kicked off around the 2nd century BCE, and it came from outside.
How so?
It was the arrival of Greek physicians. These doctors brought a completely different way of thinking.
Okay, so what was different about their approach?
They were all about a systematic, theory-based approach. Observation was key. One of the first known Greek doctors in Rome, Aeschylus of Bithynia.
Aeschylus, okay.
Yeah, he really pushed this idea of balance, physical and mental health together. He was big on natural healing diet, bathing, and actually tried to avoid invasive stuff.
Interesting. So less cutting, more wellness.
Kind of, yeah. It was a huge pivot away from just superstition towards something more, scientific. Looking at the body itself.
And that must have been revolutionary, seeing illness as like a bodily imbalance instead of the gods being angry.
Exactly. That's the beginning, really, of medical secularization in Roman culture. A massive turning point in how they understood health.
Okay, so with this shift happening, it kind of makes sense that the military would be where things really took off, medically speaking. The army's needs must have been immense.
You're absolutely right. I mean, think about it. Constant campaigns, huge armies, lots of injuries, disease spreading in camps.
A recipe for medical disaster if you don't have a system.
Precisely. Roman military operations demanded a better medical infrastructure. Battlefield injuries, sickness, it forced their hand. And this led to the formalization of an army medical system. Julius Caesar, especially, pushed this forward.
Right, and we're not just talking about a few doctors here and there. They actually set up what sounds like a proper healthcare team right inside the army. What did this Roman medical corps look like?
It was surprisingly structured, quite sophisticated for the time, basically 4 specialized roles.
Okay, lay them out for us.
Right. First, you had the Medici. These were the main physicians, the ones doing diagnostics and, crucially, surgery.
Got it, the doctors.
Then, the veterinarii. Now, the name sounds like animal doctor.
Yeah, veterinarians.
But actually, they focused on the human veterans, their long-term care, general well-being after service, which is, pretty forward-thinking.
Wow, yeah, post-service care back then.
Okay, who else? There was the valetudinaria. Think of him as the hospital administrator, logistics, supplies, making sure the whole medical facility ran smoothly.
The manager. Makes sense. And the last one.
The capsarii. These were the medical assistants. Hands-on guys doing wound dressing, helping after surgery, that kind of essential support work.
So a real team effort. Doctors, veteran care specialists, admin, assistants. Quite the setup.
A remarkably efficient system with clear roles for everyone.
So they had the people. But where did these people work? Not just in tents, I assume. You mentioned facilities of valetudinaria.
Right, the valetudinaria. These were purpose-built military hospitals, and they were impressive.
How so? What were they like?
Well, they were strategically built, usually near the forts for easy access, and they acted as combined facilities,
Yeah.
triage for incoming wounded, surgical areas.
Like operating theaters?
Essentially, yes. And recovery wards, too. Some were pretty large, apparently holding up to 200 patients.
200, that's substantial.
Really is. And they were equipped, too. We found evidence of tools that look very familiar. Scalpels, forceps, even syringes.
Wow. Actual hospitals built by the Army with specialized tools. That's much more modern than I pictured.
It's a key Roman innovation, absolutely. These dedicated, organized medical centers were revolutionary, kind of the prototypes for modern hospitals.
Okay, so you've got these facilities, the specialized staff, the tools. What could Roman surgeons actually do? Especially given the huge challenges like no real anesthesia, no concept of germs.
Yeah, those are massive limitations. It's frankly astounding what they could do despite that. They performed some surprisingly complex procedures.
Like what?
Well, amputations were common, grim, but often necessary for severe limb injuries to stop fatal infections.
Had to be done, I guess.
Exactly. They were also skilled at suturing, stitching wounds closed. And just general wound treatment was vital for survival after a battle.
Makes sense. Anything more delicate?
Surprisingly, yes. There's evidence they performed cataract surgery, using fine needles to basically push the clouded lens out of the way to restore some vision.
Oh, eye surgery. That takes precision.
Incredible precision, yes. And they were good with fractures, too, setting broken bones, using splints and bandages to immobilize them. Pretty standard orthopedic stuff, really.
But I'm guessing major internal surgery was off the table.
Oh, absolutely. Anything involving opening up the main body cavity, operating on internal organs, that was extremely rare, almost unheard of.
Too risky.
Far too risky. The danger of infection, surgical shock, they just didn't have the means to manage that safely. Their knowledge of internal anatomy was also limited, and without sterile conditions, it was almost always fatal.
Right, makes sense. Okay, so these physicians, especially in the military, were clearly crucial. Did they get recognition in wider Roman society? And was this level of care something everyone could get, or just the soldiers and the rich?
That's a really important question. Under Emperor Augustus, physicians definitely gained more status. They got legal recognition, tax breaks, other professional perks. It boosted their standing.
So being a doctor became a more respected profession.
Yes, institutionally supported, but access was very unequal.
So not for everyone.
Not at all. The Roman elite, the wealthy, they could afford skilled physicians. But for the average person, the commoner, they were still mostly relying on the old ways, folk medicine, local healers, the kind of stuff the paterfamilias did way back when.
So a two-tiered system, essentially.
Very much so. A huge gap between the best available care and what most people actually received.
Okay, so this system, especially the military side, reached quite a peak. But empires don't last forever. What happened to all this knowledge, this infrastructure, when the Western Roman Empire started to decline? Did it just disappear?
Well, sadly, a lot of it did fade, especially in the West. Around the 5th century AD, with the collapse of Roman administration and the general chaos.
Yeah, things fell apart.
Right. A lot of the organization, the sophisticated practices, they were lost in the turmoil. Socio-political collapse isn't great for preserving complex knowledge.
So it could have all vanished.
It could have. But luckily, key texts didn't disappear entirely. Writings from major figures like Galen, Dioscorides, they survived.
Who saved them?
Two crucial groups, really. Islamic scholars, particularly during the Islamic Golden Age, played an absolutely vital role. They actively sought out, translated, and meticulously preserved these ancient Greek and Roman medical works.
Wow, so they became the keepers of that knowledge?
For centuries, yes. And also, back in Europe, monks in monasteries. They were diligently copying manuscripts, including medical ones, which helped keep the knowledge alive, albeit in a more fragmented way initially.
Incredible. So it wasn't totally lost, just held safe in different places.
Exactly. Preserved through these vital channels.
And that preservation, that long journey across cultures and centuries, that must have been critical later on, right? It formed a bridge.
An absolutely essential bridge. This Greco-Roman knowledge, kept alive by Islamic scholars and monastic scribes, became the direct fuel for the medical revival during the Renaissance in Europe.
So it laid the groundwork for modern medicine eventually.
Directly. It's a powerful example of how knowledge can survive upheaval and connect different eras. Without that preservation, the path to modern medicine would look very different.
Wow. Okay, reflecting on all this, it's genuinely astounding how much Roman medicine, especially military medicine, feels like a blueprint. The structure, the dedicated facilities, the systematic approach.
It really is striking.
We've really seen today how ancient Rome, beyond the aqueducts and legions, laid down these core principles for healthcare. That shift from, mystical stuff to a structured, rational system, it mirrors our whole society in a way.
It does. The move towards organization, institutionalism,
Mm.
you see it in their medicine too.
So thinking about the big picture,
Yeah.
it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? In our world, we're always chasing the next big breakthrough in healthcare, the newest tech.
Always looking forward.
But maybe there are fundamental Roman principles we've sort of forgotten. Things about organization, careful observation, maybe even that dedication to preserving knowledge.
Could those still hold lessons for us now? That's a really profound thought. What core lessons from their successes and maybe even their limitations regarding access might we still need to learn or relearn today, especially around system building and ensuring knowledge endures?
A powerful question to leave you with. Thinking about those ancient echoes in our modern medical world, history always has something more to teach us, doesn't it?